On the morning of October 21st, 1600, at the battlefield of Sekigahara, the first wave crashed in without mercy. 7 enemy samurai closed in around Kao, the strongest warrior from his dojo. He was undefeated in sparring, flawless in technique, disciplined to perfection. His stance was textbook, his grip exact, his breathing controlled. The first strike came high, and he blocked it cleanly. The second came from behind. His body hesitated for a fraction of a second. His rigid stance could not pivot fast enough. Steel tore across his ribs and pain exploded through him as blood soaked his armor. He tried to recover, but his perfect technique only worked in perfect conditions, and this was not perfection. This was chaos. 3 more strikes landed, his armor cracked. He dropped to one knee. In less than 30 seconds, the strongest warrior was broken. 10 feet away, a smaller samurai named Riku moved through 7 attackers, like water flowing around stones. No fixed form, no rigid stance, just constant motion. He survived. As Kao bled into the mud, he stared in disbelief and finally understood why strength alone was never enough. 3 months earlier, their master had stood before them both and asked a simple question. Which of you will survive the battle that is coming? Kao answered without hesitation. I will, master. I am stronger, faster, more disciplined. The master shook his head. You are like iron, beautiful, strong, and rigid. But iron breaks. He gestured toward Riku. He is like water, soft, flexible, underestimated. Water cannot be broken. It flows, adapts, and survives. Kao hadn't believed him then. Now, bleeding on the battlefield, he understood too late what those words truly meant. This story is about Mizuno Kokoro, the mind like water. It is the principle that kept samurai alive when strength failed and technique collapsed. The warriors who survived Sekigahara were not the strongest or the most disciplined. They were the most adaptable. Not iron, but water. And before we go any further, if this story is already hitting close to home, take a moment to like this video and subscribe to the channel. This is how you support the channel and help us continue bringing you warrior wisdom that actually changes how you think and live. Kao was 24 years old when he learned that lengthy excellence can become a prison. From childhood, he trained under Master Teshin at the Shinkage-ryu dojo. Every morning at dawn, 1,000 overhead cuts, perfect form, no shortcuts, every stance precise, every movement controlled. Other students called him Iron Cow, not as an insult, but as praise. He was unbreakable, unmoving, perfect. In sparring, no one could penetrate his defense. His strikes were lightning fast, his footwork flawless. He won every match through discipline and control, yet Master Teshin watched him with an expression Kao could never read. One evening after training, the master called him aside and placed 2 objects on the table. One was a perfectly forged iron rod. The other was a soft leather cord. Which is stronger? The master asked. The iron, Kao answered immediately. The master bent the leather easily, then struck the iron against the floor. It snapped in 2. Kao, you are like this iron. Strong and beautiful, but you cannot adapt. You train only in perfect conditions. You have never faced chaos. War is coming, and war is nothing like the dojo. Weeks later, the armies gathered. Tokugawa in the east, Ishida Mitsunari in the west. The battle would decide the fate of Japan. Before departing, Master Teshin gathered the warriors and said quietly, "Those of you who survive will not be the strongest. You will be the most adaptable." The words meant nothing to Kao then. They would soon mean everything. Before the battle, the master led Kao and several students to a mountain temple. There, an old monk named Ryutan introduced them to a waterfall ritual. When Kao stood beneath the freezing cascade, he He tensed every muscle and tried to endure it through sheer will. The pain was unbearable. Riku stepped in next and did the opposite. He relaxed, moved with the water, yielded when pushed. He stayed under the waterfall 4 times longer and emerged calm. "You resisted the water," Ryutan told Kao. "He did not. This is Mizu no Kokoro." Ryutan explained that water adapts to any container, flows around obstacles, and reflects reality clearly when still. "You are not water," he told Kao. "You are ice, beautiful, rigid, and fragile under pressure." Discipline does not mean resisting everything. It means responding appropriately. In battle, rigidity kills. Adaptation saves. Training at the temple was brutal and chaotic. Random attacks, no patterns, no predictability. Kao failed again and again until he stopped trying to maintain perfect form. When he closed his eyes and stopped thinking, his body began to respond naturally. This was Mushin, no mind, the gateway to water mind. His technique became imperfect, but his effectiveness grew. He learned that mastery was not holding form, but releasing it. Then came Sekigahara, muddy ground, screaming men, broken formations. Kao's perfect stance collapsed instantly. His first wound shocked him into panic. Then he remembered the waterfall. He stopped resisting. He flowed. When pushed, he yielded. When surrounded, he found gaps. He survived not by overpowering enemies, but by adapting to them. Time and again, water saved him where iron would have shattered. As the battle dragged on, exhaustion tempted him back into rigidity. Riku warned him, the hardest part is staying water when the chaos pauses. Water does not turn to ice when the storm ends. Kao learned to remain fluid even in stillness, clearing his mind like a calm pond so he could respond instantly when the next wave came. By nightfall, the battlefield was silent. Of 20 warriors from the dojo, only 7 remained. The strongest had died first. The rigid ones fell fastest. Kao watched a final duel where a powerful samurai was defeated by a wounded man who flowed instead of resisted. In that moment, the lesson became permanent. Strength without adaptability is weakness. Years later, as master of the dojo, Kao taught the same lesson to his students. Perfect technique is nothing without flexibility. Rigidity is death. Water survives. The battle never ends because life itself is the battlefield. Plans fail. Relationships change. Bodies age. Certainty collapses. In all of it, iron breaks and water flows. So ask yourself honestly, where are you rigid in your life? Where are you clinging to control, perfection, or fixed identity? And what would happen if instead you learned to flow? If this lesson resonates with you, write it in the comments. Commit to becoming water. And don't forget to like this video and subscribe, because the way of water is not a one-time lesson. It is a practice, every single day.